The harbor had forgotten its color when she appeared. The morning came up black and glassy, as if someone had extinguished the sun and left a coal in its place. From that coal the Massachusetts Bee stepped forward, not launched, not docked, but unfolding from the shade thrown by the water itself. She wore the shape of a battleship and the uniform of absence. Everything upon her, from turret crowns to bollards, seemed dipped in night, yet the night did not drink light so much as instruct it to behave. Reflections shortened, noises hushed, distances knelt. Witnesses swore the bow did not cut the surface. The surface thinned, made room, and sealed behind with the hush of velvet dragged across a table. The white numerals that should have glared from her prow had become iron-gray runes, legible only when the tide remembered how to read. The usual warmth of a working harbor failed to begin. It is easy to call a ship a monument. Massachusetts Bee arrived as the negative of a monument, an erasure in the shape of resolve. Her paint was the black of theater curtains before the scene, a promise that something will soon be shown and that it may hurt. The first crewman who touched her ladder pulled back with frost on his glove, though summer was beginning. Transformation began in the trivial. Brass fittings refused to shine and grew mad as thought. The ship breathed through vents that did not open, a tidal breathing that made the deck slightly rise and fall against the soles of boots. Under certain angles the black deepened into depth, skin parting to reveal a darker layer, and beneath that a darkness with grain like velvet seen edge on. Where paint should chip, the blackness healed as if night itself were self-priming. If you have studied the old engagements you will try to map them to what followed. Do not. The echo of war does not reenact, it fever dreams. Off to the east, clouds stacked like magazines of powder. Thunder walked the sky with the even stride of broadside fire. In each roll of sound, sailors heard names split into letters, letters into fragments of Morse, then silence between dashes so heavy it felt like weight laid upon the chest. The big guns elevated, and the rifling inside the barrels shone briefly with starlight. When the muzzles steadied on the horizon, the wind tasted of cordite and rain that had not yet fallen. In the east the cloud bank tightened until it resembled armor. A line of rain advanced like a formation and then halted, stopped by nothing visible. The ship's radar swept, a thin cough of electricity that left sparks on eyelashes. Across the anchorage windows darkened from the inside out, as though each room had remembered a funeral at the same time. Her aircraft catapults listed nothing on their rails, yet the air ahead compressed as if preparing to be flung. Bearings grew opinionated. The ship extended herself by degrees no blueprint contains, not larger but more exact, as though resolving into the idea she had always bullied reality toward. Down the decks the liminal crew assembled. Their uniforms were correct, their faces incorrect. Eyes shadowed as though the brim of an unseen hat lay across them. When they saluted, the gesture smeared, a ripple traveling rank to rank as if they were reflections obeying one original. Below decks, where visitors were not admitted, lights ticked on and off in a rhythm that belonged to relay chatter. Those who pressed an ear to the armor swear they heard orders given in a voice that traveled sideways, a command that skipped frames like damaged film. A chart table bore no chart, only a black rectangle with a faint sheen of salt, and yet navigators nodded as if the lines were obvious. At intervals the whole hull leaned, not to sea or sky but to an angle without direction, correcting for a drift no compass could admit. Rupture never arrives politely. It arrives like a needle touching vinyl, a hiss, a groove, a song already playing. The horizon folded in a single clean crease that ran exactly beneath the Massachusetts Bee. The water on the near side stood higher than the water on the far, a tilt so subtle and gigantic that only the gulls marked it, lifting as if a slope had traveled under their wings. When rupture peaked, the harbor clocks reversed for 7 seconds. Out beyond the breakwater the color of the ocean failed, turning to a depthless graphite from which whitecaps rose like handwriting being erased in haste. The guns answered once more, a sound so delayed it seemed premonitory, and the delay arrived holding a rain that never landed. In that exchange the battleship spoke. Not in language. In corrections. Waves stopped misremembering their heights. A buoy that had drifted 3 inches off station since 1952 sighed into place. The great guns rolled their shoulders and fired without flame, each shot a subtraction. An old veteran standing on the pier felt the ache in his knee cancel and return as rain. He wept without knowing which loss he grieved. History tried to reassert itself by sending in boats. They were prudent, painted, authorized. Massachusetts Bee backed water without churning any. Her screws defined a silence so pure the ear reached for it and found itself empty. The crew along the rails did not move, and so every movement of the onlookers became louder than bodies ought to be. You ask what she wanted. One is a word for smaller creatures. The ship performed a principle. Pride is metal bored to tolerances and heat that knows its job. Hubris is the dream those give you when you forget to be humble. Massachusetts be gathered both and cast them forward like searchlights into fog with no particles in it. Her forward turret lifted as if not to aim but to ask. The answer returned in pressure, a hand on every chest on every shore simultaneously. Consider the idea that every war writes a black book kept by the sea. Some ships are ink. Some are the nib. A few are the hand. For a while that morning the hand returned to turn the pages. You could feel the thickness diminishing as though a ledger of debts was nearly complete. But the sea keeps two sets of books. When the crease in the horizon relaxed, the second ledger revealed itself, and the numbers there had no Arabic form, only the geometry of wakes seen from cliff edges at dusk. Revelation is the wrong word and the only one. A boy below on the breakwater dropped a sandwich and never remembered he had been eating. The Massachusetts be eased about with the right amount of authority and headed seaward. No pennant. No ensign. On her stern the black skin thinned for a heartbeat and you could see, not paint but stars. No constellations, simply points, unarranged and perfect. She crossed the bar with the tittle straightening under her like a measure drawn on parchment. The gulls stepped down from the seawall and became birds again, indignant with relief. Engine noise resumed in the harbor like conversation after a verdict. Someone said the ship had been a trick of light. The old veteran wiped his face and understood neither answer was permitted. Out past the headland the battleship slowed. The ocean there keeps a wrinkle no chart notes, a permanent small error. The crew along the rails removed their caps and did not bow. The ship turned the way ships do when they are leaving forever and also when they are stepping aside to let a larger thing pass. Afterward, small things betrayed her passage. Compass roses on tourist maps shifted a fraction east. Street lamps flickered at the instant a breaker rolled over a buried bar no lifeguard had charted. In one kitchen a clock that had lost 5 minutes a year since it was hung in 1946 caught up all at once and for the rest of its service kept time true. That night the harbor slept without dreaming and woke exhausted anyway. Later, divers found no churn on the bottom, no trace on sonar, only a tidy quiet as if the seabed had been ironed. Harbor traffic resumed, yet every whistle echoed twice, a second voice coming from a distance no chart could hold. By night the wrinkle offshore clicked like a metronome, counting down to nothing in particular. If you go there at dawn and wait, you will find yourself counting backward without deciding to. From the number you reach you will subtract another number and then your own name, and then the name for the color of the water, and when you try to speak you will discover you have used up the word for speak and also the word for you. This is not harm. It is adjustment. The sea is always revising the draft you believed was final. Leave the place better than you found it, the signs say. Massachusetts be obeyed in the way iron obeys tide and tide obeys moon and moon obeys gravity and gravity obeys nothing it can speak about. She left the harbor sharper at its edges, the air a little blacker beneath noon. When the next storm comes, listen. The crease will return, and for the length of one breath the world will measure itself again. If you ask again what she wanted, stand by the seawall and put your hand on the stone. Feel the chill that belongs to metal many tons distant. Reach for your tongue and taste the penny. Let the ledger turn its own page. Let the black skin thin to stars. Let her pass without retention because some things are not kept. They keep us and they go on keeping whether we look or not.